Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have another episode of Night of the Shield. We got a lot to talk about tonight. It all surrounding our offensive coordinator, our quarterbacks. You know how we do it. We're bringing this in. This is going to be a long one, guys, so buckle up. We got a lot to cover, a lot to get off our chest, a lot in our mind, a lot going on. But I'm going to start off the show by thanking everybody who's subscribed lately. We appreciate it. We're moving up the ranks again, and it feels pretty good. Also, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be updated every time we drop another podcast. And I'm not alone today. I'm not running solo. I got my boy Ken in the house. Ken, what's up?
What's going on, Nation?
Yeah.
How you doing, Jay?
Dude, we're just trying to roll it, man. It's been a crazy day. I got a little story to tell to kick this thing off. But remember, this is brought to you by Independently Blind Studios, where we educate, advocate, motivate, and inspire those going through loss to live their best active lifestyle. And obviously, Ken and I, we're both legally blind, so that's what we specialize in. So shout out to the legally blind community, or just the blind community in general. It's another reason why we do this. This is part of our advocacy, letting everybody know what we're capable of doing. And we're just here to talk a little Raider football tonight.
Yep. And hit the like button too, guys. Jason didn't say that. Hit the like button, guys.
So let's go ahead and funny story. So Ken and I, so today is Saturday, February 3rd, 2024. We were supposed to record this Friday night, the 2nd, and Ken had some things we couldn't make it happen. So I said, all right, we'll just put it out tomorrow. And I'm glad we did, because the perspective of this podcast was going to be about Cliff Kingsbury hire. Right? And woke up Saturday morning to the news that he backed out. So I guess, Ken, what was your initial thoughts hearing that Kingsbury well, go ahead and share both sides of it, right? How did you feel when you found out that he was going to be the offensive coordinator? And then what was your feelings after you found out that he backed out?
Well, I felt good about being OC, right? Bringing a new system in there, and then make the offense go. And now that he backed out, I wonder why he backed out, right? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about why he backed out, but that's my curiosity.
I've heard a couple things. We'll go over it.
Yeah. But why he backed out, and for whatever reason, who knows? But hopefully they're bringing somebody else that's good OC, so we can go ahead and get the offense going like it should be. He'll be all the talent there, and I think Kingsbury would have brought the talent to life. So,
well, that's what's interesting. That's what I find interesting, Ken, is that I think there's a bigger story to be said here, and that pertains to the quarterback position, which happens to be the topic of tonight's pod, right? And
right.
I really felt like, okay, because it was reported, or it's been reported, and I don't think it's reported, really not verified, that Mark Davis wants a marquee. Mark's always looking for ways to market this football team. And we got rid of DC, and we're not getting into DC tonight, y'all, so don't worry about it. But, DC stay was wearing out, and I think he wanted a quarterback he could market this thing around. We got AP. He's brought this whole thing to life. We got Crosby. We got Devontae. Every good team has that quarterback they market around. And this is no shade to AOC. He's doing his thing. He'll have a shot, but he wanted a marquee name. And it's been reported that he wants Caleb Williams, or he wanted Caleb Williams. And I think that was the plan. And I think that was part of the Telesco plan. And I think that's why Telesco was brought here. And I think Kingsbury as well, right? Kingsbury was supposed to be, he's worked with Caleb. He's worked with Manziel. He's worked with Mahomes. He's worked with these types of quarterbacks that I feel at least Mark don't put his 2 cents in often.
Right.
And we know AP's a Jalen Daniels guy, and so is Marvin Lewis. It could have worked either way, but I think the main goal was to try to get Caleb. And
that was the direction it seemed like, right?
Well, and it's funny because Colin Cowherd, if you know who Colin Cowherd is, he has a radio show and stuff. He came out and said that Caleb Williams did not want to play for Chicago. And I guess there was some backlash for that, but I truly think that part of the hire for Kingsbury was told they're going all in on Caleb Williams. Well, after that report came out, right, Washington's names got thrown in the mix about Washington jumping up one, which makes more sense for Chicago because they still have control of who they get with that second pick, whether it's a quarterback, which we're going to talk later about, or they go wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. right?
Right.
Either way they decide to go in that realm, it worked. And it's funny because Kingsbury interviewed with the Bears, so he had some inside thought of maybe what the Bears might do. And I think maybe he even knew that the Bears probably weren't going to go Caleb Williams. This is all speculation on my side, right?
So you're thinking that Kingsbury wants to go where Caleb may end up at, right?
Right.
So he think Washington has a better line of getting Caleb than we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
The report was, the last I heard anyway, the report was that he was coming to the Raiders. And then all of a sudden the negotiations broke down contractually, meaning he said he wanted an extra year in money. And it just doesn't make any sense, except for he was looking for a way out to save face. And not even 24 hours later, he's reported to be on Washington's radar.
Right.
And he's going to follow the Caleb Williams needle. And you know he's talking to Caleb Williams' dad, and he's talking to Caleb Williams.
Of course.
So he's got some connection there. He knows maybe what they're thinking, what they're hearing, what they're trying to do. And I just think he got cold feet. And I think he's trying to line himself up to be the offensive coordinator for Caleb Williams. Just my thought. What do you think?
It sounds right, right? And I wonder if it could have been a AP and Marvin thing where they're more leaning to Daniels, right? And maybe Kingsbury got word of that, right? I don't know.
Well,
we'll have to wait and see, right?
Well, I think there's been a lot of reports, like I said, he was still out there. He hadn't signed anything yet. I'm sure he had his agent had his ear to the phone, talking to the Bears, talking to I almost said their old name, the Commanders. Commanders. And I think, Caleb's camp. I think that he's been in tune with all of them. And exciting to think that the needle was heading towards Vegas. So, Vegas, it lets me know that Vegas, as at least minimum, was in the market and is still maybe in the market trying to push for Caleb Williams.
Well, we talked about this before. The whole key is Chicago on what they're going to end up doing and what they want for the first round pick. We don't even know that. Yeah. What behind discussions going on there. I mean,
and we're going to get in heavy on that here in a little bit as well, on what that could mean and what that could mean for the Raiders, or what it should, in my opinion, mean for the Raiders anyway. But so he's out. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just wanted to lay the groundwork of what I think is happening.
Right.
And if there's
bottom
anything,
line is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause my feeling, I'm gonna let you guys know my personal reaction when I heard that Kingsbury was coming. I was like, hey, it meant two things to me. Number one, we are trying to build a exciting high impact offense, which is something AP said in his presser. And also that Caleb Williams was on the board, and again, that they're even looking at that caliber of a player lets us know that this is not over yet. Whether it's Caleb Williams, Jalen Daniels, that's, maybe even a Drake May, who knows? It just, to me, screams different type of quarterback with one asterisk, and we'll talk about that in the next segment here. But what is your thoughts? What is your thoughts anyway? What do you think they should do? There's three big names that I've heard. I'm sure there'll be more coming to the table.
Well, we heard
what do you
Kelly.
think? Yep, Chip Kelly.
Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other one?
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the other two excite me more than Hugh Jackson. Chip Kelly and the enemy. They're innovative. Their offense are exciting, kind of like Kingsbury would have brought, right? So it's heading that direction. I think they should go that direction and see what happened with Chip Kelly and the enemy. Because we all know KC's offense was pretty dynamic, okay?
Yeah.
So going that direction, I think one of those two candidates would be better than Hugh Jackson. That's just my personal opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, none of them excite me the way that Cliff Kingsbury did, primarily because of age and who he's coached before. With these three names, it kind of levels the playing field. And it could be in a bad way. It doesn't scream that we're definitely going to make that kind of a move for the quarterback, right?
I think it still does. We're not going to say with AOC.
Well, we're going to get into that next segment, because I do think there's a chance there still, and I'll explain to you why I think that. Because I don't want to get into it yet. But again, none of these three guys are like Cliff Kingsbury had more of a rapport with a lot of the kind of quarterback that the nation has been asking for. whether it was Caleb Williams, whether it was Daniels, some people have Penix on that list, Bo Nix towards the back end. We're going to get into all that later too, but that type of quarterback screams Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, the closest thing outside of that would have been us getting Bo Nix or someone like that because he did work with Baker Mayfield. But now with these other cats, I'm just kind of like, man, it's different. It's just different. But we'll go ahead and put that to bed. I want to go ahead and jump into this next segment here. But so regardless of what happens, regardless who the offensive coordinator is, we're going to run this down. We're going to talk quarterbacks on this podcast. And I want to start with the only thing that we know. And that is Aiden O'Connell is the quarterback of the football team right now. Before anything else is decided, right? We all expect to know that Jimmy Garoppolo will be out. We're not keeping Hoyer. We have AOC, and in my opinion, that's all we got. So it's fair to say that you can only count on what you know. My dad always says, I know the donkey hair is black because I have it in my hand, right? So my dad tells me that all the time. It's an old Mexican thing that he did from Mexico. But at the end of the day, AOC is what we got. We don't know, if we're going to get one in the draft, if it's going to fall our way, what, when, where, and how. And AOC is no longer that rook. Okay. He's got 9 games under his belt, 10 technically, but we're going to count him for 9. And he won 5 of them. He was the winning quarterback in 5 of them. Now, I don't want us to go heavy on AOC and what we saw that was bad because it was a rough situation. And he ended strong and he protected the football. But what is your thoughts? What is your feelings like? In fairness, fair as possible, you could talk both sides, but as fair as possible, AOC's your starting quarterback. What are you thinking?
Not excited at all. AOC will be a good game manager. I know that guy's thrown out there quite a bit right now with game manager, but I mean, he'll be a game man. He won't be anything exciting. He won't get you. Hopefully next year, since the growing pains might be all gone. But I mean, there's nothing to get excited about. I mean, I know we're going to get into later on the free agency stuff, but it doesn't excite me at all. There's I don't see any hope and promise for that one. Maybe playoffs, maybe. I doubt that, but maybe 8-9 wins, probably, maybe. I don't know. Not excited at all about AOC.
I get the concern. Okay. I totally get the concern. And we're basing it off what we saw. And we've talked about it all last year, right? Like, we wanted to see AOC get the start because we wanted to see what we had, because we wanted to know what we were going to be backing moving forward. Are we going to be pounding the table for a new quarterback, young quarterback, what have you? And so I'm with you, man. When I hear AOC now, I'm not, I've heard a lot of people talk. They're saying, oh, he can move. And I'm not going to say the guy can't move. He ain't going to do. He's not.
Yeah,
well, he
doesn't
don't
move. Yeah,
he don't. And I don't think he's going to have the elusiveness and the speed that we're talking about.
No,
he's not going to move out there like Baker Mayfield will move out there. And I'm using Baker as an example because we'll be talking about him next segment too. But just in the sense that Baker Mayfield is not known for running the football. So I was using that comparison. But for me, AOC, in Purdue, in the year that he was successful, before because he had some adversity his senior year with his brother and things like that. He ran a version of the air raid offense, not necessarily exactly air raid. When people hear air raid, they obviously think to the college level. There's different versions of the air raid, and the air raid is developed over the years, a lot like the West Coast offense. West Coast offense, when Bill Walsh brought it in, it was West Coast offense. That's what it was. Now there's a ton of versions of the West Coast offense.
Right.
It's just the base, and then they mix other things. Same thing with the air raid. So they could literally take that type of system and develop it a little bit more dink and dunk. It's the same reason why one of the other offensive coordinators that we didn't mention was Kubiak from the Niners. And I think because it's already been somewhat reported, he's already got something going on with the Saints. So I didn't bring him up, but that style of offense would make sense because it's like you said, game manager. You're doing all Cam Newton about it and start talking about game manager, but So I'm just going to use that terminology.
I wasn't even going there, man. I wasn't going there, Jason.
Well, I mean, I heard game manager. The first thing about man is Cam Newton. Okay. And Purdy. But like,
Purdy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, AOC could fit that role, right? I think he would fit good in something like that. But again, that puts more pressure on having more dynamic weapons. Not that we don't, it's just, we don't have the speed. Let me put it that way. We got weapons, we got really good players, but we don't have the speed.
Speed's not on the outside.
No, not in our running backs. Our running backs don't have speed. Our receivers don't have speed except for Tucker. That's it. He's the fastest guy, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that's going to really work. AOC is going to need more speed because they're going to have to be more dynamic after the catch, and that's where I'm kind of like, I'm not going in on an AOC, but I will say this to move on before we move on from AOC. He's earned the right to compete and win that job, regardless of who comes in here and regardless of where we pick him at. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's going to be competition, right? Because that's all we got. That's all we have.
Well, I mean, I'm saying,
especially
like,
if you're bringing a rookie. If you're bringing a rookie, first rounder, it's going to be, you're going to have the competition with those two.
Now, if we pick one at 13, right? Like, yeah, it makes sense. If you trade up, the pressure's on because now you've given up so much capital that you want to automatically make this person the starter. And I'm more of I feel like no matter what we do, we need that competition.
Yeah, the competition brings us both to everybody, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure. So we're on the same page as that goes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, not much I want to get in. I mean, that's basically it. Look, there's a lot of people that are protecting AOC, and there's a lot of people that are acting like AOC's trash. I'm that dude that's in the middle, right? I don't think he's not trash. Think he's trash.
He's not
no way.
Great, but of course you can't say great. On here second, but it is not. There's no excitement there. There's no excitement behind it. Like there's no, okay, whatever. But that's all it is,
I'll sum it up like this, right? This is how I'm viewing it, right? Justin Herbert. I know the Broncos are kind of in limbo, but for the sake of this conversation, Russell Wilson, Patrick
Mahomes. Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
Doesn't do it for me, man. He had that opportunity, and I just, and again, it's not Patrick Mahomes versus AOC. It's not Russell Wilson. It's just what these guys have already shown that they can do. He hasn't fully shown us that type of play yet, and we have to score. It doesn't matter how good our defense is, because we have a good defense.
Points. Yeah, we got to score.
The expectation is that defense is going to come and pick up where it left off, if not even get better, because we'll add pieces. So AP wants to score points, and we need something more dynamic than AOC, and that's not a knock. It just means that I don't think we're built for an AOC right now. You need more speed.
I agree.
At
least someone can push the ball down the field more, right?
But he could throw it. Yeah, he just needs to buy time. I need to see him make it. Okay, it's one thing to say I seen him do it. I haven't seen him do it in the NFL, so I'm not going to bank everything on the fact that he's going to be this rollout quarterback that's going to throw on the run and make those opportunities. I just haven't seen it. So
right.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is what everybody wants to talk about. What everybody wants, it technically should be free agency right now. I'm going to make sure that So, but I'm going to go draft because everybody is projecting and looking for us to make that move. It depends, if you're watching ESPN and some of these guys, they got us taking an offensive tackle at 13. I still say the play is going to be a quarterback, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and give me your top 3
quarterbacks.
Yep, your top 3 draft.
You go first.
Okay, so the way I have them ranked, I have it Caleb Williams at number 1. I have Jaden Daniels number 2, and I got Drake May number 3. That's my top 3. Those and I'll go ahead and give me your top 3, and I'll tell you why I want the top 3.
My 2 are the same, but I kind of like Bo Nix.
Okay.
As 3rd option. Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw out my reasoning for this, and then I'll give you the option to maybe change it. If you want to stick with Bo Nix, well, cool. But my thing is, when I think top 3, These are the only 3 guys that I feel like it's worth giving up any capital to move forward up into that probably top 3 to 5 range to get one of these 3 quarterbacks. If it's not for me, if it's not one of those 3, it's not worth trading up the capital to get into the top 5 to possibly land one of those 3. Is Bo Nix still that guy to you for number 3?
It all depends how much we got to give up.
Right.
Right.
And that's fair. And
Yeah.
I'm not knocking Bo Nix. I'm not knocking Bo Nix as your pick. I'm just saying, like, to me, that's my thought process, right? And,
right.
And
like
what
for
we
Caleb
know,
and for the first 2,
I
would give
no brainer, right?
No brainer, a lot, right?
Yeah.
For the 3rd round, for the 3rd pick, either one of the 3rd picks, I would be like, it all depends what it's going to cost us, right?
Yep.
I'd rather wait to see what happens. Well, we'll get to that later, but in free agency.
Yeah.
At that point.
Well, the
right?
free agency will tell a tall tale of what we're going to do, right?
Right.
So, yeah. And that's why I kind of left it to the end or the next segment. But I'm with you. Like, even for Caleb and Daniels, like, there has to be a cutoff, right? And I think wherever the conversations already have been, because I really do think that there's been feelers that's been put out, I think the price right now is so high. And somehow it got back to Kingsbury, because we're going to go all the way. We're going to wrap this all the way around, because it's all going to tie together, right?
Right.
Something more than money and time changed Kingsbury's mind. Sorry. This is a great place to work, bro. Like, the hype around this team and this coaching staff, and you got Devontae Adams, you got a great receiving core, you got a running back. He was probably told that they're going for some type, unless they told him, no, we're not doing that. We're going to stick with AOC and get someone outside of what his thought process was on quarterback.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that was it.
I don't think so either. I think it
would never got that far. If that's the case, he'd have been like, "Nah, I'm good, thank you." Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Williams is a Commander. So I mean, unless Williams' camp is serious and he's not gonna throw a hissy for being a Bear, it would make sense. I mean, that's a great move for the Bears. The Bears, because if you got to, let's think logically, right? Because we're going to start with Caleb Williams, right? It would make sense for them to be like, I'd rather make that deal with the Redskins because it still gives me control. And in the Redskins, to guarantee they get that, they're going to have to at least give up that pick, probably a couple of seconds and a player, maybe. And they have the capital because they trade away Sweat and Chase Young, right?
Yeah.
So they get that capital. Now they could sit there and be like, okay, Raiders, do you still want Jaden Daniels? Like, we'll trade with you still too. And they could build up more capital moving back.
Right.
And all they're doing is building up a ton of capital each step back they go. That would be the smart way to do it. So regardless if he's a Bear or a Commander, if the Commanders are willing, I think the Bears make that move first. It just makes sense to me. If I was thinking like, excuse me, I'll knock my mic off. If I'm a GM myself, or if I was a GM of the Bears, I'm thinking that's my thought process is like, why sell out to the first buyer when I could get multiple bids? I come out of here, man, with a grip of picks.
Yeah.
Both this year and next year.
They come out with a lot of picks that they trade. If they trade anything, they come out with a lot of picks.
Because the Bears already have 2 picks. They got the number 9 pick as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if they continue to stack picks, they still get pick number 9. If it goes down the way that I'm dreaming over here, right? They go with the Commanders, they get some more second round picks, maybe a player. Then they trade with the Raiders, get more, because going up to 2 is still going to cost the Raiders quite a bit, right? They're going to have to pay a fortune to get Jaden.
Yeah.
So they're going to have multiple picks next year, multiple second picks. I mean, I'm all about that. And I still get my 2 players, right? They could still get receivers, offensive linemen, all in the first 10 for 13 picks. So
yeah.
Anyway, so enough of Caleb Williams. Like, I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be a Raider. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the price is too high.
Looking too likely now. Before it was, maybe not so much now, but
I think the price is going to be too high.
It's a waiting game.
Yeah. And again, I think that falls into AP's favor, to be honest with you, because let's come on. You go and you get Marvin Lewis to help you be your support mechanism there as a head coach, which is smart.
Yeah.
It's smart, right? And They both worked with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was in the locker room at the end of the season, right there. I mean, to me, it's been Jaden in AP's world. It's Jaden Daniels all day. In Mark Davis's world, I think Mark Davis is like, if you can get me Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, yeah. We're getting Caleb Williams, right?
And I think that's why Kingsbury was the target. And if you look at who Kingsbury's been talking to and where he's rumored to go now,
Washington, all three teams.
Screaming. Yes. It's screaming. I'm chasing Caleb Williams.
Or wherever I go, Caleb Williams is gonna go, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is why I said that. So, we have to think all Jaden Daniels. Now, as it pertains to Drake May, I mean, I just threw that name out there because if it's not Caleb and it's not Jaden Daniels, if you want my honest opinion, I don't think they technically make a move unless the pressure's on them after the 5th pick and they feel like they got to jump up before someone else does to get Bo Nix or Penix.
Yeah, I wouldn't give up too much if we had to move up that high, that's a hard one, but I wouldn't give up too much for those.
No.
Just because, once again, how much more improvement you see that versus what we already have. No, I don't know how much, but yeah.
And we'll definitely loop back around to the draft conversation towards the end of the pod because I think it plays big because there's other names we're not going to talk about in this segment because there's no need because we're really talking about game changing, like what the Raiders, like what the vibe is around Raider Nation, what the vibe is probably around, the facilities there in Vegas that they're looking for a splash.
Everybody wants a quarterback.
Yeah. So
everybody wants a quarterback.
And we're looking at Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. And then after that, it's a hot mix. Like if you go around and you listen to what everybody's saying, reporters alike, everybody likes a certain player for a different reason. And some are like adamant, oh, heck no, that guy's not going to be good. And I guess I'll say that, and we'll end the segment here. I'll get your take. Analyzing quarterbacks in general, it's less than 50% that anybody that's picked either number 1 or in the first round ever work out anyway as quarterback.
Right.
You could look at their college numbers and be like, oh yeah, that's the guy. Because we hear this every year, dude. Every single year. Right.
All the high-end, high-ranked quarterbacks. Well, part of the problem is most of them high-end ranking quarterbacks will go to a bad team. So it's kind of unfortunate for them, right?
Yep. And that's Caleb's problem.
Right. The lower ones will go to a let's say a bad team, not say a bad team, but a team that's actually really good and they'll have to sit behind a quarterback for a while maybe. And grow that way. You just never know. And a lot of it depends on the system. So if the system's right, the quarterback just hop right in there and the system's great. They'll keep right on flirt. Look at Purdy. No one saw that one coming. Know?
That's a system guy, though. Don't go Cam Newton on me. Don't get I'm going to say system guy. I'm not going to do the Cam Newton thing and call him a game manager, okay?
He's a game manager to me. I'll call it. I'll say it. If you ain't going to say I'll say
Kenny Newton.
Game manager.
Kenny Newton,
ladies and gentlemen. Manager. Yes.
System guy, game manager, however you want to call it, but I agree. And that's why I said after Williams, after Daniels, I don't see it's not worth, and I know we're in Vegas and it's all about gambling, but I don't see the gamble in doing anything else except for those two guys. And even then, you're not guaranteed anything.
No.
Those guys are not guaranteed to be successful at the next level. And then I will say this to counteract what you said too about, a good quarterback or whatever going to a bad team. I'm going to say, if you're that dude, right? If you're that dog, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, any of you guys, any of you quarterbacks are the real deal and you're that confident in yourself, then you are going to be the person that changes the perspective of that team, not the team that you're going to go play for. When Peyton Manning went to the Colts weren't a good franchise. Peyton Manning changed that.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning was the cornerstone. He was the cornerstone. They had other players, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison. Yes. But I'm just saying, like, he was the corner piece. So if I was Caleb's dad, I wouldn't be too worried about playing for the Bears and they've never did. Nah, hey, the Bears got some weapons over there.
They have some.
They got some weapons
offensive
on them.
line. They need some linemen to block.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
So, yeah,
And again, they pick you at number 1. They'll go get you that stud tackle or whatever they need with pick number 9.
Number 9, yeah. Our receiver, yeah.
And then there's free agency. So I mean, I challenge any athlete coming out of the draft. Oh, I got to go to the bad team. Well, you have to be the difference maker. Never stop Calvin Johnson. Never stop Barry Sanders. And I'm using Detroit now as that example, right? Because they're usually up there, right? But you got to believe in yourself that you're going to make a difference, that you're going to be, if you're going to be legendary.
Right.
So anyways, we're going to definitely come back and talk about some more of those prospects as we head on towards the end of this podcast. But so that leads us to free agency, because that's the next level to this, right? I mean, that's what everybody wants. They want us to go get that splash quarterback, trade up, do something courageous and get a superstar and an electric
something
athlete.
Bold.
Yeah, something like bam. But as you're seeing and hearing, because people act like it's just, well, they never do it, man. They just need to pick up the phone and just give it all away. And it's like,
yeah.
Like we said, if it's a 50-50 thing, it's actually less than 50, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah. If you're going to make a splash, you're going to have to be willing to give up what it takes. But you also have to be real with yourself. And that's, again,
this may not work, right? And we have to live with that. If it don't work, it don't work.
In those two guys that we talked, those top 2 guys that you and I had talked about that we like, I could take it on the chin, man. I could take the hit and be like, okay, I see what you're doing. Fine.
Yeah.
And then just pray that it works out. But the reality is, beyond that, you got to have that guy on the other side's got to pick up the phone and be like, yeah, we'll do it. Because Bears, Commanders, Patriots, all 3 of them could make the argument that they could take a quarterback, every single one of them.
Right.
So if you're lucky, your guy falls after that, and you can manipulate a trade up to get that guy. But that, again, these guys know more than you think when it comes to the draft. They know what people are up to. They're having the conversation, right? They're probably real with each other. Hey, that's my guy. So you're going to want my guy.
Well, they're already making calls.
You got to pay.
Putting out feelers to see what's going on out there. Yeah. That's just part of the networking and game that they're going to be doing the whole time till the draft comes up and after the free agency comes out. They can put out calls and put out feelers to see what you guys are thinking about doing, and see, hey, this is what you think about maybe this, and this. What you guys' thoughts on that, right? So, yeah.
Yep. So plan B is relevant. And plan B is there somebody in free agency that makes sense? So is there anybody in free agency that you're looking at right now and you're like, yes, maybe, no? There's names already been mentioned and dropped.
Here's my thought process on that one. If I'm going to do that, I want something that's not going to cost me a whole bunch of money. And for me, the logical pick for that one right now is Russell Wilson. He'll play for the league minimum, right? You're already getting $39 million guaranteed anyways. So sign up for the league minimum and give him a 1 year. Let AOC grow further or next year set up for another draft, right?
Yeah.
And see what happens.
When it comes to Russell Wilson, for me, man, I'm on the fence, man. I'm going to be honest with you. My first reaction is hell no. Just no. What I've seen, he played a lot better under Peyton, and then Peyton benched him because of the money, which in this scenario helps us because he's willing to play for league minimum, because if they cut him, and he hasn't even been cut yet, we don't know if they're going to cut him. But from a price perspective, I understand your thought process. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's cool. But again, we're talking about an older guy, and it's great.
I'm not saying sign up for 5 years.
No. I understand where you're coming from. I'm totally with you on that. But the price is good, and it gives AOC the competition that he may need, and that's fair. It's still his job to lose, even to Russell Wilson. But I also look beyond the money and the talent, and he's been known to be a bit controversial. They wanted him out of Seattle. They want him out of Denver. When he first got to Denver, he brought in his own team, and I'm sure the Raiders will put the end to that right away. But I just don't want to deal with that crap, bro. In my mind, I don't want to deal with it. Baker Mayfield is a guy that's intriguing, but again, now we're talking about a guy who wants $45 million a year, $40 million a year.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to pay that. I don't want to retread.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $40 million to a guy that's bounced around and showed some talent, showed more talent on the road than he did at home. Head scratcher.
Right.
But he took his team to the playoffs.
He may tell him more. He came back. I mean, he did a lot better this year than in the past. It seems like he calmed down a little bit, got a little more mature. Yeah.
He beat the Eagles.
But I said, no, not for $40 million. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take a pass. And he was tied to Kingsbury as well, Kingsbury guy. But no. I'd rather run with AOC and the money.
Right.
And there's a reason. There's a reason why I say that, and we'll get into that as we loop this back around. But there's another guy out there that's been talked about, especially
don't you dare say Kurt Cousins.
No. I'm not. Okay. That's another guy that's been talked about because Devontae said something. But that's another guy that's asking for a dump load of money.
$40 million.
He falls into the same category as Baker, except he's older. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Done. I'm good. But Justin Fields.
That's Justin what Fields. I tell you, we had this conversation before. Chicago holds the key. A lot of this going to depend on what Chicago does.
Yep. Yeah. But good news is, if Chicago doesn't move on from Fields, then that gives us an opportunity possibly to get in there even as early as the third pick, maybe as late as the fifth pick, to jump in there and try to get Jaden Daniels. So that does help our causes. But Justin Fields, to me, if we feel like that door is going to close on us, is very intriguing because he's only going to cost $6 million on the cap next year. And the biggest problem that people are saying is, well, it's that fifth year option that scares everybody away.
Mm-hmm.
That fifth year option's only, and I get it. If it's a failure in year one, I get it. It's going to be $22 million, rounded up, about $22 million for that fifth year option. If you're asking me, that still ain't bad, bro. That's not bad. In today's market, that's not that bad. And I'm going to be real.
No, that's a low-end quarterback in this day market.
Justin Fields, to me, who's been playing in Chicago, and there's been, people are saying the offensive coordinator was garbage, and they keep changing coordinators and coaches. Okay, if we're going to take that route, I promise you, getting Justin Fields at this point in time and only having to give him $6 million to prove himself, you're already guaranteeing him that the fifth year option. I'm cool with that because I think that dude's going to come out here and make a big difference, impact right away. Right away, I think it changes the dynamic of our offense, and we're scoring points.
I like Justin.
Fastest quarterback in the league.
Justin's a mobile quarterback. Yeah, mobile fastest quarterback. He can throw. He needs accuracy problems, but I think a lot of that has to do with what happened in Chicago.
Offensive coordinator and timing.
Offensive coordinator, timing. They finally got him a number one receiver, and he did really well with him this year.
Hey, as bad as he is, how did DJ Moore get 1,300 yards?
Yeah, he's not bad.
Fields ain't bad.
His offensive line was horrible. So, put him with us, and I think he'll do really good.
Now, again, I want the Raiders, if you go Justin Fields, then it's very unlikely that you trade up to get your guy. But
no, I think that will be. Well, we haven't gotten the scenarios yet, but that's like your option C, right? So yeah.
So there's other options that start happening with that 13th pick if you go and grab a Justin Fields, but that's to be said later. And I mean, whatever, right? But for me, it would be Justin Fields. If you're going free agency route to fix your problems, I'm going Justin Fields all day. That would be my if again, because I mean everybody says, well, Russell Wilson, like you said, Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson's still a Bronco. What if Russell?
He gone.
Well, they said that they would like him to stay, but they want him to take a pay cut, and we know Russell Wilson's attitude.
They want him to get rid of that injury cause.
Well, again, still, he wants to change your contract, right? And for me, again, that's the kind of attitude I don't want to take a gamble on a guy his age, on the back end of his career, that struggled when he went there to begin with, and there has been rumors of locker room issues. So, but and again, in fairness, yeah, he's probably not going to be a Bronco. But in the case that he is, we don't know. And same with Justin Fields. The only one that we know is a free agent right now is Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins. And we already talked about the price. That tag there is not worth it. Not worth it.
Pass on those two.
Yeah, I'm good. So with that said,
yeah.
With that said, free agency, like pretty simple, right? I personally would like them to be aggressive and get somebody young and dynamic in the first round. So I hope it doesn't come down to free agency anyway. But if it does, that's what I'm looking at. So let me ask you this next segment. Key it right into this segment. Best case scenario for you, like when I say best case scenario, I'm not talking about what we think could. No, you're not only the general manager, you're not only Telesco. Okay,
I'm Mark Davis too.
You're the National Football League and all the corruption everybody says it is, right? You're the man behind the mirror, dude. You're the Wizard of Oz of the NFL.
I got my crystal ball.
Yep, and you get to manipulate, and everything's gonna go your way. It's guaranteed. And be realistic a little bit, just a little bit, right? But best case scenario for you, what is it?
Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
How you gonna get? Oh man, I said okay. We only got one pick, bro. So you're saying you're gonna trade with the Bears and you're gonna get the number 1 and the number 9
and that's right. No. I'm gonna say we get Caleb Williams. In my crystal ball, I have all the power. Yeah, Caleb Williams to come to Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hands down, easy peasy. Because sometimes, I mean, you got to risk it sometimes. We've done it before and it hasn't worked, but I think Caleb Williams is one of the most ready NFL quarterbacks there is out there. And only time will tell if it pays off, but sometimes you got to make that jump and make that leap, So I would be Caleb Williams all day long. Put it on black, bet it all, let it ride.
Bet it all, make the moves. 3 first rounders. What players are you willing to give up to make that happen?
Oh, I don't know about players.
Because if that it has, there's going to be picks involved, and it's rumored the player, and of course everybody wants Max Crosby, but let's be real, guys. Like that's a deal breaker. It's not happening. They know it's not happening.
I think Max and Devonta would be out. I'll give up Jacobs.
Jacobs not under contract. You're talking about Myers?
No,
Kobe, because Josh Jacobs is not under contract, so we'll have to go. I mean, I guess if we sign him and then trade him, that'd be horrible. But
you can do a sign and trade. People do it all the time.
Yeah.
I would give up Jacobs. It'll have to be someone for offense because defense, I don't.
The names that I've heard in particular have been Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer. And I think those were the 2 people that I think those are some of the 2 names that I've heard, to help them out. They need, because Jacoby's a slot guy. Mayer's a young up and coming. And granted, everybody's thinking air raid at this time too. And tight end's kind of irrelevant in that situation. But those were 2 names.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing I heard, and I only heard it from one person, and it was actually from a Bear podcaster. And they said that the Bears last year were really intrigued and really wanted Tyree Wilson.
Huh.
And it's funny because if you talk to most members of Raider Nation, they're going to be like, well, go ahead. Like he didn't show, he actually came on at the end and as a defensive tackle. So he's an option on the inside and he's only going to develop on the outside. But I am one of those members of the Raider Nation that'd be like, hey,
take him.
If that's the player that I would let him have it. But I could see how it could hurt us. But again, there's options in free agency.
There's options out there.
And Kuntz, we still got Kuntz. We got that guy from England. I can't remember his last name or even how to say it anyway. That hopefully he comes in and is developed to the NFL game because he's another big, fast, physical dude as well. So. And then obviously we could address it later too. So I mean that's intriguing, right? Like Caleb.
Yeah, I mean 2 first rounders, couple seconds, whatever, and a couple players. Yeah, gone. See you later. Give me
So
Caleb.
dream scenario, right? Everybody wants Caleb. I guess that's kind of a no-brainer. Now, what would be secondary? What would be a little bit more realistic? You can give me a couple options. What would be some of the other ones that you could think and make it make sense for Raider Nation right now?
Not one of the first two, right? What we talked about before.
I mean,
going down like we talked about free agency. So all depends on what Chicago does as well. So my other option B, I guess you can say, or C would be getting Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Option B1, how you want to label it, is getting Russell Wilson. If that none of that happens,
okay,
you're stuck with AOC.
Mine is different than yours, and I'm going to turn a lot of heads with this one because there's one of my scenarios is very controversial. another one of mine. Yeah. So I let you be controversial with the Cam Newton statement at the beginning. I'm going to get controversial with mine. But so, I mean, outside of the Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels dream scenario, which would be, I think, serve us perfectly, especially Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, only because you want a guy that wants to be a Raider. These guys worked with him. It's a good fit. It's just a good fit. So outside of that, right?
Right.
I'm gonna start with the draft scenario. If you feel that Bo Nix is the dude, fine. Penix is the dude, fine. I wouldn't go too crazy. Maybe jump up a couple of spots, something reasonable, to get your guy. Okay, that's first and foremost.
If you see him around 10 or 9, then you can jump up. That's only for a second. You can give us a couple seconds to get that. No problem.
Something like that.
Right? Yeah.
Now for me, I personally would sit tight, draft either a center, guard, or tackle on the right side. Find a stud there at 13. And then use the second round pick, fill out the class, and either jump back up late first round or sit there and jump up early second. And this is where I'm going to be controversial and grab JJ McCarthy.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say JJ.
Because you could get him probably in the second. He's very underrated. You can get him in the
fourth.
I don't think so, bro. I've been watching tape. I looked at his number. You know that guy, he didn't throw as much as the others, but he completed 73% of his passes, nearly 73%. The old Bill Parcells, that's an old Bill Parcells motto, bro. Like that, to me, his accuracy is what matters. Everybody wanted to say this about C.J. Stroud was an Ohio State guy. Michigan was a running team, but he was asked to do something. He did it. So he's going to follow whatever you do, and he's accurate as hell. He's fast. He's 6'3", over 200 pounds. He has all the measurables. And if you get him in the second round, you're not even asking him to be the starter. You're asking him to learn. You sit back. All right, I'm going to tell you this. Jordan Love. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. If you can get him McCarthy and you take that pressure off of him being even the starter, that is a good move. You're still addressing the quarterback.
You think he's going to learn something from AOC?
Just in time. It's not about learning from AOC. Yes, I get it. He doesn't have an Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre to sit behind. I'm just saying, like, not pushing this guy out there and saying, you're the starter. You got to perform right now. No pressure, but you're getting that guy that can move around in the pocket. He can run. He could throw accurate. It's not a bad gig. And you still get, you address the offensive line, which is huge, right? And you're building from the trenches. I'm just saying it's logical. And again, I'm saying JJ McCarthy Nation, like it could be anybody else, right? If you guys watch the Senior Bowl today, Milton looked like doo-doo, right? That guy looked like, I'm sorry, he may throw like Jamarcus Russell, and he may be a little bit more mobile, but it's not my dude, man. You might be able to sell me Spencer Rattler, but outside of that, I'm thinking those two, right?
JJ McCarthy, man.
I'm telling you, hey, he's a winner. He's a winner. And he has all the skill set. Everybody don't like him because he was Michigan and it was a running offense. He wasn't as flashy as all the other guys. But if they're all gone and you're playing it down the middle, now I like the Justin Fields thing if the Bears are willing. And I'll tell you why. Even the JJ McCarthy, like or Spencer Rattler. I don't get. I use JJ McCarthy. I think that he's underrated, and I think he would serve a purpose for somebody in time. Same with Spencer Rattler. I don't think you start them over AOC or force that. I think they compete. If they win it, right? Like
Right.
I'm not mad at that. But just like we talked about earlier, and this is where we're going to wrap it all the way back around to the draft and what we're willing to give up and what we're willing to do and what have you. Why does it have to be this year? Why force it so hard right now? I mean, I'm for it. Trust me. Like if you're Tom Telesco, Mark Davis, AP, like you're saying, hey, we're going to push hard for Caleb or Jaden. I'm not saying that 100%. But if you don't get those guys, why do you have to have Penix or Nix if you're not fully sold?
I wouldn't do it.
What? Because again, we're going to have the same, and unless we get the guy we want, we're going to have the same conversation next year and the year after that. And there's other quarterbacks already coming up. Sanders, next year, Sanders is coming out. Sanders, right? Shanier, how do you say it? I always mess up his first name. Shador Sanders is going to be there. He's man. He has the pedigree. He has the bloodline.
Right.
And that guy plays, dude. He's a baller too, right?
He's a baller,
I'm not going to say he's Caleb Williams, but he's definitely could be in the Jaden Daniel conversation if you ask me.
We're going to see what they do this year because according to Prime, he says they coming.
Okay, well,
so we'll see.
I'm not saying I'm not worried about what Colorado does. I'm more worried about individual play right now, but I'm with you.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, he'll be a conversation next year. We got the other Manning boy getting ready to start making his college run.
Yeah.
Right. And he won't be coming out next year or anything. But again, there's always going to be somebody in the draft that's going to make you go,
Yeah, there always is. But I think they're making a big deal this year because of Caleb, right? So,
well, yes. And you're talking about a franchise, and G Warb probably already commenting down, if he's commenting as he's watching, is yelling, "Oh,
we're not live. We're not live, Jason.
I know, right? I know, but like if he's watching it, I know I could tell when people are commenting on the pod before they listen to the whole thing because they they don't hear me all the way through. I'm gonna say it again. I want and expect this regime to make a hard move, and I would even address it to that top 5. Like I would say, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Penix, Nix. I think they're in play. But I think the further you go down, the more less likely it is that they're year one CJ Stroud type players. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah.
So if they're not going to be year one difference makers, and like you said, right, we don't have Aaron Rodgers, we don't have Brett Favre that they're learning behind. Does it make sense to we have to appease ourselves or somebody else? Because I guarantee you, they know more than we do what AOC brings to the table. And AOC is not, he wasn't that exciting guy that we look for, but the guy is got poise in the pocket. He's got a good arm. He's got rapport with the receiving core, with the team. There is a scenario where AOC in the right offense can score points. Year 2, he's going to understand. He's not going to be afraid of the speed of the game, better understanding how to read defenses. Maybe the offensive line is better. Maybe he decides to unbolt his feet from the grass. I don't know. I mean, because people say that he can.
I can't move from this spot.
People say that he can.
Stand like a statue.
People say that he can. Yeah, people say that he can. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. I'm not going to say no. It's not my place to say that he can't. But I'm just saying I know that this regime are confident in AOC. But if you look back, and this is the reason why I'm skeptical, right? Is because you don't see that wow factor we're talking about, and we need to score points. We have a defense, and I could see AP, I could see Marvin Lewis, Patrick Graham, the big dogs on campus right now. Those are the big dogs that we have out there right now. Right. I think we still actually have Rob Ryan there too. Throw him in there. I could see them all confident, all defensive dudes, right? I could hear all of them being like, yeah, we're gonna be like the Ravens with Ray Lewis. We don't need that much points. And I'm gonna be like, no, man. Not today's NFL, bro. No. So I'm with you. We got to make a move. But I'm just saying, like, hey, there's gonna be a quarterback and a quarterback and a quarterback. So be aggressive, but don't force your hand.
No,
That's
only,
all I'm
I'd say
saying.
only be aggressive if you can get one of the top two. If you can't do that, then see what happens in free agency. And then if that don't work out, then you're stuck with AOC. Not, I won't say stuck, but then we got AOC, you know?
And that's the beauty of it, bro. Like,
Right.
and I guess that's what I'm getting at, right? Because you mentioned it a few minutes ago. You were talking about, hey, these guys are talking. Everybody is already, look, there's a lot of smoke screens. There's going to be a lot of BS stuff out there. But for the most part, you know, and I think that's why Mark Davis really hired Telesco. And this is no knock, because I think Champ Kelly's a stud and is going to be a stud. But I think Mark wants Caleb Williams, or he wants a big splash. He wants a playmaker in here. And he knows there's going to be a lot that needs to happen for that to even take place. And you want a veteran guy that's well connected across the league. He's been doing it for 10 years, dude, for the Chargers, right? He did it for 10 years. Say what you want. He's nailed the first round. I mean, draft. Everybody acts. There ain't nobody out there that's nailed the draft every year. Sorry. It's a very difficult task, right? But I think Telesco is well enough connected and knows a lot of people throughout the whole ranks, and people talk and they just know. They know. It's just, you know, it's not as easy as these ESPN guys, NFL Network guys are going to tell you because of a need who's going to get picked. And a lot of those times they're wrong. They're wrong.
Right.
You're looking at best player ranked in your list available. You may get it right. You may not.
Yeah, it's all about speculation and guessing and hope it works out. That's all the draft is. Like, look at this player. He ranks well. He scores well, or he interviewed well, or whatever you're going to base it up off. Yeah. But it's all about how you're going to play on Sundays.
So the way I view it, right? Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. And at that point, if the word on the streets, right, is that most likely those guys are going to go within the top 3 picks, and there's no way you're going to get up there and get one of those 2 guys, I would start tapping on the Bears' door and be like, if you're done with Fields, we're interested.
Right. Well, if the Bears
don't overpay, but you're knocking at that door.
Well, if the Bears pick a quarterback, then Justin Fields won't be there. So,
well, again, I'm talking they get this information ahead of time, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the beauty of it is we'll know way before the draft. That deal, that Justin Fields deal, yeah, the Bears could hold out till draft day, but I don't think they do. Something will happen with that first round pick. Either Fields gets traded beforehand because they're going to want players, right? They're trying to stack their team, or they make a deal with like the Redskins right away for that first round pick. I just like last year, right? They made the deal with the Panthers way before the draft.
Yeah. We'll see. All gonna play out and see how it goes.
But again, Raider Nation, I guess my whole point is, you know, set your expectations. Mine are set. Kenny's is set. That's what this whole conversation was about. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels for me. And then after that, I wouldn't force it. Not saying don't, because those other ones we talked about, Drake May, Penix, Nix, all those guys can fill a narrative that I wouldn't be mad at. I'm just saying don't force the issue with those guys. And if it's not the first 2 we talked about, really see what the Bears are up to. You know,
I'll wait till next year then. If I couldn't get one of those 2, just wait till next year. I wouldn't even draft another quarterback. I would get but then again, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't force it in the first round. Build the trenches up, get something in the trenches, whether offensively or defensively, and pick up that quarterback. Pick up a McCarthy in the second. Pick up a Spencer Rattler. Pick up, please don't get Milton. I saw that guy play and it made me nauseous. But just, I would address it in the second round because we need depth in that room. So I would get one of those guys. And like you said, just because you get a McCarthy or a Spencer Rattler doesn't mean you can't go after a Sanders next year. And now you got some trade bait later. So true.
Just build it up. Play it smart. We're in Vegas. You got to know when to hold them. Know when to fold them.
Yep.
Know when to walk away.
Sometimes you got to get rid of those 2 pocket aces. You got to lay it down sometimes.
Yeah, at some point, right?
Yeah.
You don't count your money until you're sitting at the table, right?
Yep. So right now, you push it all in for those two.
Yep.
So yeah.
You got to. You just have to. But anyway, any final thoughts? Any last minute heroics for you?
No.
Any Cam Newton one-liners? Any other Cam Newton one-liners you want to drop before we get out of here? Huh? Game manager?
In order to be a game changer, you gotta be the best player on your team, according to Cam. Okay. Yes. According to Cam. That's what Cam said.
That guy, man. He's trying to hard, bro.
But no, nothing from me, really. I'll just have to wait and see what happens.
I'm with you on that.
Waiting to see who comes in as an OC. Hopefully get somebody quickly here with the next week, hopefully. But until then, we got to see. Waiting.
Yeah, and
we're in a holding pattern right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm frustrated a little bit because Kingsbury got you. It was more like people are always like, "Oh, you like Kingsbury?" It wasn't even about Kingsbury. It's what Kingsbury possibly stood for. It let me know that these guys were serious about those two dudes we've been talking about all night, Williams and Daniels. Like to me, that screamed, "Hey." But this guy wanted Williams. So to me, you knew that Mark was serious and this team was serious. And it doesn't mean that they're not. Doesn't mean that they're out of the Williams hunt. I'm just saying that to me, it sounds like Kingsbury knows something we don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, more likely going to Washington. But I'll be happy if the enemy comes, though. That'd be a good one, too.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, I mean, I've heard people start talking about, well, Andy Reid knows him and it'll be. But he knows Andy Reid. Like, come on, guys. Like, you can't play that game. At some point, I mean, he's not going to come over and try to carbon copy Andy Reid. He's going to
system. No. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I just don't think there's an OC out there that's going to make me feel, as comfortable as Kingsbury did to say that we were going after one of those two.
Yeah.
All these other names that we talk about, it could be.
Well, you're excited about Kingsbury because what came along with Kingsbury.
Yep, Williams or Daniels. That's what it said to me.
Yeah.
Okay. All that other stuff would have worked itself out later. Whether it worked or not worked, I didn't care. It just meant that hey, come draft day, we were going to hear Williams or Daniels names, and I was here for it.
Yes.
Now it's like anybody else that comes in, it could still be Williams or Daniels, but it also might be Nix, Penix, and I'm not against those guys. I'm just saying that
according to you, McCarthy.
In the second round, he's not a first. I'm not trying to be Harbaugh and say that he's the first overall pick. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard Harbaugh say that. He's been saying that. Don't be surprised he's end up in San Diego.
Nah, we'll see. No, well, McCarthy, yeah. I mean, that means he doesn't believe in Herbert. I don't think so. I don't think he uses a pick on that, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, hey, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you'll be updated every time we drop another podcast. Time will tell. That's all I can say, man. Time will tell.
Right.
Time will tell.
Yes, sir.
I just think we missed the mark. No point intended, Mark. But
hey, well, it wasn't their fault. He got cold feet and made a U-turn.
Hey, I just think there's more to this story than money.
It will come out
in contract years, 2 or 3 years. Money.
It will come out. Somebody will leak it.
I think this is all about Caleb Williams.
Right.
But if I had to be honest, I think Jaden Daniels for this coaching staff is a better fit anyway. So I'm not mad at it. But I don't think that takes us out of the market. And if anything, I think it would be hilarious. If we end up with Williams. There you go, Kingsbury.
That'll be a classic. Yes. Yes.
All right, guys. We're wrapping it up here. We appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one. Till next time, stay Raider strong. We out.
Yes, sir. Peace out, guys.